Episode 63. Next on the docket of our very long list of things to do will be to actually finish up those primal things. I think we've given Tancred enough rest. What's this person wearing, by the way? Diodako's coat of casting. It seems like a kind of casual outfit. Like a knit sweater. Not really fighting gear. Interesting. Wonder what level you can get that on. I like the color. Right. Back to the waking sands. For this series of quests, it should just be a pretty straight up gauntlet. It is of course allowing you to unlock the true versions of the trials. What you encounter for Garuda, Ifrit, and Titan in the main story are just kind of introductory things that just show you what the trials are kind of like without getting all of the mechanics, and of course only giving you 4 players in the party rather than the typical 8 in a trial. I guess that's true of the Ultima weapon as well. Normally you would expect an 8-man trial, but for the end of a Realm Reborn you only get 4. Confirmation has just arrived from the Immortal Flames. 'Tis as Urianger said, I fear. The Amalja have already summoned Ifrit. The confrontation with the Lord of Inferno is inevitable. I would like nothing more than to lend you my blade, but the students of Baldessian insisted that I refrain from taking to the field where it concerns the primals. I know not the workings of it, but it would seem that recent events have left me especially susceptible to tempering. As much as I hate missing out on the fun, for everybody's sake I must sit this one out. Instead I will focus on gathering and analyzing data. Now, the Immortal Flames have already conducted a preliminary investigation into Ifrit. They may well have information that will be of use to you. Do pay a visit to the Hall of Flames and speak with Commander Swift. One last thing before you depart. Doubtless you remember Minfilia's words, but this Ifrit is a far cry from the primal you first defeated. You will want to assemble your most dependable comrades for the mission. Be safe, my friend. Return is still on cooldown. Well, it's not that far teleport. Only losing 81 gil. Thank you. And actually, I guess we fought all of the primals as a black mage the first time, didn't we? Even if they weren't the true versions of them. Suppose we'll take these on as a summoner. For the variety. Do I have to worry about experience? Well, there's no experience reward for this. Probably a different experience gain from the actual trial. We'll just dump it all into Summoner, whatever. Gomor, we thank you for coming. The Flame General will be heartened to hear that you have answered the call. As we have already relayed to the Waking Sands, Ifrit is returned. For the sake of peace in the region, we humbly request that you vanquish him. The primal is to be found in his domain, the Bowl of Embers. To get there, you must use the Beastman Aetheryte found within the depths of Zaharak, the Amalja stronghold. The Amalja have constructed their own Aetheryte from salvaged Aetheryte shards. That being the case, or Aethernet from salvaged Aetheryte shards. That being the case, you should be able to use it without problem. No doubt you already know this from your fellow Scions, but the present incarnation of Ifrit is far stronger than the last. Facing him with any fewer than 7 of your stoutest comrades would be ill-advised. That is all the intelligence we have to share. The rest is in your hands. I shall pray for your victory and safe return. And of course, Swift has the other Beast Tribe stuff for us, but we'll worry about that after we actually take care of the Primal. I think that makes sense in a kind of a story-wise pacing situation. First we take care of the part of the Beast Tribe that's summoning the Primal, and then we help out the Beast Tribe that isn't summoning the Primal. Deal with war before peace. Of course, we could fly straight there, but I guess they kind of expect you to go through a little bit of a gauntlet of this endgame area. A little bit. Back then you probably could still just run past these enemies, but we'll at least view it from on foot, even if we don't fight. There's no real lead up to these harder versions of the trials. They just throw you straight into the boss, without story like they had in the main story quest. So I guess running through the enemy encampment is the most prequel or lead-in that you get to it. I guess there's a kind of joy in areas like this back in the day. The endgame areas that are filled with high-level mobs. And only being able to pierce them when you have a high-level character at the end. The joy of infiltrating an enemy structure. Same is true of Ogamora Mines and the Sylph woods. But we're not really here for that. We're here for the boss. Gotta get up right next to it. Let's have a look at this. A lot different from the usual Aetorites we're used to. And now we have the Bowl of Embers. Is that actually the end of the quest? Well, we have the duty thing. Technically, we're supposed to teleport in from here, but we'll use the duty finder to teleport into the battle. After I check one thing, I'm surprised that there was no quest, or that the quest didn't end with actually defeating Ifrit. Rather, it ended with unlocking Ifrit, implying that you don't actually need to win the battle. I'm pretty sure it's required, though. I see. Yes, you can't actually take it. It's kind of a weird quest structure. That you actually have to do some kind of prerequisite that isn't a quest. Usually I think only quests are... A quest can only have other quests as prerequisites. But I guess there are dungeon requirements and trial requirements too. Not used to seeing that. The usual structure is that a quest is only complete when you clear the trial or dungeon that unlocks it. Alright. Our first time doing a real trial with 8 players. It's called hard, but this is actually the standard. The wait time is 16 minutes. Well, I might be here all night. We'll see how long it actually takes. That one actually took longer than 16 minutes. Whatever. It should go by in a flash. Although it's called hard, it's probably quicker than what we already experienced. The rate at which Ifrit's health is draining won't change from what it is already, or not much anyway. Already down by 20%, no less than 40 seconds in or so. The only thing that will stop us is, of course, the nail phase, as we experienced in the normal version of the trial. I think he has a new knockback that occurs every once in a while, hitting everyone around. But if we stand at max casting range, it won't hit us. And of course the attacks are more interesting, as you can tell. Now it's the nail phase. Previously, when this was harder, when the game first came out, I think you needed to use a limit break to get these down. Or maybe that was a different part of the same fight. We're good here, though. The nails do give you a lot of limit break, though. We'll leave it to the melee DPS. One of the two. Alright, a caster did it. I guess I could have done it. Did that hit? I'm afraid that might have been wasted. Maybe I'll check in post. Not that it really matters. If that did any damage between when Ifrit disappeared and reappeared. That was of course the Red Mage, Limit Break 3, commonly referred to as Verblind, because it removes any teammate's view of the floor. Not that it matters. If it goes down so quickly, who cares if there's a wasted Limit Break 3 or not? We'll give it to the Red Mage, in case it did do damage. Is that better than what we have now? Probably. No. This is item level 60. Oh wait, it is better. Most of my gear is item level 90, but that was just from the class quest. We didn't get a weapon for that, so it is better. I guess we'll equip it. How's it look? Creepy. Well, we can run around with this for a little while. No, wait. It might mess up my portrait. Although that'll only happen if we actually change our gear set, right? So, yeah, it'll be fine. Urianger, what have you to say? No change for just getting Ifrit down. Guess we have to kill all of them to earn his praise. Ah, Komboy, I hear you have triumphed over Ifrit. Of course, this is no less than a feat I would expect from a warrior of light, but well done all the same. Now, I had a mind to crack open a bottle of 1547 Bacchus, but the celebration must keep. Garuda, I am afraid to say, has also returned. As you well know, Garuda's appetite for destruction far exceeds that of other primals. Not to dishearten you, but in her latest incarnation, that appetite has become nigh insatiable. In the short time since her return, she has already wreaked tremendous havoc. You must send her back to the Aether before she can do any more damage. In the meantime, Ida and I will assist the Order of the Twin Adder in their recovery effort. When you previously faced Garuda, 'twas the Enterprise that bore you through the storm that shielded her domain. Well, that storm is as a spring breeze, beside what she has raised this time. No airship could hope to penetrate it. And so we must count ourselves fortunate that the Order of the Twin Adder chanced to discover a Beastman Aetherite leading into the Howling Eye. Before you do aught else, I suggest you pay a visit to the Adder's Nest, and have words with Commander Hilu. He will be able to tell you about the said Aetherite, among other things. Make no mistake, the Lady of the Vortex will prove a formidable opponent, but I believe that you can weather the storm. May the 12 keep you safe. Which clothes are those? Is that Magitech? Yep, the Magitech jacket. That's a store item. Oh. Pretty cool. Even if it's just kind of your basic standard fare all black kind of deal. You can make whatever color you want, of course. What is the basic color? As expected. Everyone loves black and gray. Not that I'm one to talk. Though I would probably lean more towards gray. More Beast Tribe stuff. And a different beast. Oh, no, this isn't Beast Tribe. This is Odin. Another trial thing. That would have been available around the end of 2.0, I think. However, we'll think about that later, after we've done this other stuff. Odin's trickier than the other ones. Trickier to find a party for, that is. Komoi of the Scions, we are grateful for your aid. As you will already know, the accursed Ixal has summoned Garuda once more. Since her return, she has wasted no time in unleashing her fury upon the region. Extensive damage has been reported in both the Twelveswood and Gorthus. She must be stopped and soon, lest more lives be lost. In the name of the Elder Seedseer, I humbly request that you put an end to her reign of terror. As in the past, Garuda keeps her court within the Howling Eye, which is perpetually protected by a raging tempest. Fortunately, we have learned of an alternate way into her domain. The Ixal have constructed an Aetherite within Nadalan, their stronghold in the central highlands of Gorthus. This Aetherite will take you to Garuda's tempestuous realm. We owe this discovery to the Ashgardians, who the Elder Seedseer says desired to repay the kindness you showed them. For the sake of our people as well as theirs, may your mission be met with success. And these are the Self-Beast Tribe stuff. I plan to get to those, but unfortunately, strangely, I'll do it a little bit differently later, but the only beast tribe that differs from the other ones would be the Ixal, who, if you want to experience their story, you would need a crafting class, because their beast tribe quests are entirely crafting related. Of course, there are allied tribes, or allied societies, later on that are also crafting only, but it feels weird that among all of the tribes that you work with at the beginning of A Realm Reborn, only the Ixal are crafting related. I guess I had to throw in crafting somewhere. It's actually one of the crafting stories I remember pretty clearly, almost fondly even. That and Jude. And again, we could fly over all of this. But to honor the flightless birds, we'll walk through their area as much as we can. Quite a lot of heavy hitters here. Where are we going? Over here? Whoa, that's a tough guy. It's not a normal enemy, is it? Is that a hunt? They kind of make you go through a bit of a maze here, don't they? I don't think you can go through this little wall. Yes, it looks like you have to kind of wind your way down here, through this gate, around this way, past this gate, and then outside. Unless you can fly, which all players are able to do now once they complete the ultimate weapon. I really want you to stand on it. Once more, we've unlocked the quest immediately, or completed the quest immediately before actually getting the trial. The wait time is purported to be 21 minutes, and yet it'll probably be longer than that based on the previous experience. It took around 20 minutes or so, when it said it was 16 minutes. Although we already have 3 people in the party now, that's already faster than what I was experiencing with Ifrit. Once more, we'll take a load off on the box of waiting as reinforcements arrive. That actually took way, way longer than 20 minutes. Mainly because of my own fault. See, the first time I was fighting Garuda, it actually only took around 10 minutes for the queue to pop. But this is the second time I'm fighting Garuda, because I had my first major screw-up. I ended up actually not recording my first fight with Garuda. In this episode, switching between turning the recording on and off while waiting for the queue to pop, I accidentally had it inverted, where I had the recording on while I was waiting and off during the trial, rendering the actual footage of the trial lost, as well as the post-trial quest stuff unrecorded. Fortunately, there isn't really any quest stuff going on. No real story stuff here. A few lines that I can fortunately salvage a little bit. But I'm still irked that I ended up messing up so direly. This isn't the kind of thing that I can recover with New Game Plus either. Now, unlike the normal version of the trial, the easy one, in this normal version there is Tirada and Suparna. I think Tirada heals and Suparna increases the attack. The tanks are supposed to divide them up in some way, I think. Off-tank takes Suparna and main tank takes Tirada and Garuda. Could have that backwards though. But it doesn't really matter with everyone's current levels. Even with it synced, we're still outclassed, or outclassing her. Okay. Hopefully the recording is able to smooth things over, but the one thing that I can't smooth over is talking to Ishtola. We would have accepted a quest from her next regarding Titan, but I can no longer replay that. Fortunately, her lines are still recorded here, so we can puppet as if she was still saying them to us now. I believe it starts over here, wasn't it? So both Ifrit and Garuda are now vanquished by your hands. Truly you have earned yourself a rest. Would that you had the luxury of time to enjoy it. It pains me to say that Titan is also returned, and with a vengeance. As was the case with his primal brethren, he has grown stronger than he was before. When I went about my investigation, all indications suggested that the kobolds were nowhere near ready to resume their summoning rites. But it turns out they were deceiving us. I should have known better. The kobold's subterranean domain runs deep, and they can easily hoard crystals without our being none the wiser. And a vast hoard it must have been. Till now, Garuda was the most powerful among the 3 recently active primals. But according to our latest readings, Titan has usurped that honor. A primal's might is determined by 2 factors: the amount of crystals it has gorged upon, and the fervor of its believers. I would like nothing more than to measure precisely how strong the Lord of Crags has become, but I fear the time for such prudence has run out. We have already received an official request for assistance from the Maelstrom, and as you might expect, it is addressed to you. For your previous encounter with Titan, you have traveled to its demesne by way of Aetheryte, first discovered by the Company of Heroes. Sad to say, this Aetheryte no longer seems to respond. But do not despair. The Maelstrom has reportedly found another in its place. You will want to speak with Commander Riki at the Maelstrom Command for details. I cannot stress this enough. But Titan has grown fearsome strong. See to it, you spare no preparation. And of course, we head over to speak to Riki. Don't really have to go there, we could just read her lines right away. Don't even have to read her lines, but if I'm recording this for the sake of presenting to myself, at a later point in time, a complete picture of what the game looked like, and I do want to capture the voice lines if I can, the dialogue, even if it's side content like this that has little plot relevance. These are, however, of course, required to progress past 2.5, patch 2.5. And at this point, Riki would have told us Private Moriko, your presence is most welcome. I'm chagrined to say we must turn to you again to lay Titan low. No doubt this is yesterday's news to you, but the Lord of Crags has returned more ferocious and formidable than he was before. We cannot fathom how the kobolds were able to obtain such vast stores of crystals, and in so short a time. We'll learn the answer in the coming moons, I suspect, but first things first. We need you to vanquish Titan before he and the kobolds have a chance to wreak havoc on Nimsaldominsa. You have felled the primal before, and we believe that you can emerge victorious once more. We learned of a new aetheryte that will take you to the navel. It's situated deep within Ugamoro mines. Not the most convenient of locations, admittedly, so you will have to cut yourself a path. Please make all haste. Titan's mere presence emboldens the kobolds. It is only a matter of time before they move in force against us. May the Navigator guide you on your way, Private. And of course, at that point we just did the same thing we already did, and traveled to Ugamoro to access the aetheryte. Actually, while we're waiting, or while we're doing that, we can actually start up the queue. Because I already did the naval while I was not recording, same with Garuda. Another huge time sink that I lost. Hopefully I'll get it right this time. Just make sure it's recording. Yeah, we're recording alright. Editing won't be too hard, just we'll have to piece together the episodes and cut in and out where the actual waiting happens. Still, it's annoying. Now I should see in Ugamoro Mines, just a bunch of stuff around. I guess there are big arenas for endgame fates. But these are of no use to anyone, I don't think. And it is at this location that we would have scanned the crystal or whatever, inspected it, and unlocked the naval hard, which is actually just the naval normal mode. Excuse me. And of course that completed the quest, at which point there is no further dialogue. We should be caught up on dialogue now as far as this set of primal quests goes. Guess all I need now is the actual footage of the Titan fight. As that duty queue is running, I'll make my way back to the box of waiting that I've been sitting on. And once more I'll cut out here while we're waiting. Hopefully this time I actually hit the right button and record the actual fight. And here we are again, for the first time. I'm only just realizing that Carbuncle is already out. I guess Carbuncle comes out if you have him summoned before the actual duty begins. I don't really recall how this was in the easy version, the main story quest version of this. I don't really remember if it was a shrinking arena like it is now. I know we were ingrained in rock. This might not have been a thing though. I don't believe it was either in the easy version, but this phase where Titan goes immune and only the heart takes damage. I guess previously there was both a targetable Titan and Titan's heart. As things are now, there's only the heart that's targetable. I guess players had difficulty recognizing that you could only damage the heart, and so they just made it so that only one is targetable. Kind of making this a redundant phase, doesn't it? Still immune. Oh, some people are dying. We want to be on the other side. This gives us the most time to recover. Here we go. I was standing in a bad spot. The boss hits the tank with a big conal. Don't want to be standing near the main tank. That's true for most trials in general, I guess. This is going on a little bit longer than my last run. Of course, partly due to DPS falling off. Don't know if they literally fell off. Oh no. Well, it's better to take that than to be pushed off. I could have barriered it, but I'm not smart enough. And we lost a tank. It was scuffed, but we made it. At least it was interesting. And there we go. All caught up. I'll give it to a healer. Of course, I already have one. Just because we already have the other two, let's go ahead and pop that crag one. There's no need to, but now our collection is complete. We've got the Ifrit book, the Titan book, and the Garuda book. At 60, item level 70, and item level 80. I guess Titan is the best. Let's have a look what at what Garudas look like, though. Just kind of green, not even glowing like Titans, or like Ifrits. And then Titan, kind of glowing, like it's made of stone. But we'll go back to the usual. Now we should be done. But there was one more thing that I want to do, since we have, what is it? With all the editing, I still think there are 10 minutes left. Around this same time in the original recording, which wasn't recording, I decided to spend the last 10 minutes mopping up what I could on the relic weapon quest. I had previously, in the last episode, accepted it, and I just wanted to talk to Rowena to turn it in. I think we'll only want to test the waters for these relic quests. I don't really think it's a good idea to get too deep into them, even if there is a little bit of quote-unquote story content. Just some dialogue between the parties involved, but nothing really major. If you're a real freak, you may be really invested in some of it, some of the characters involved. But I'm only somewhat of a freak, so we'll only get a little bit into it before we hit a brick wall where it gets grindy. Now let's see. I still have Rowena's dialogue. Unfortunately, wasn't able to save everything, but looks like it's still here. I'm pretty sure this is the start of the conversation right at the top of the chat log. It was only just barely hanging on. Any more things in the log and this would have been erased. I guess we just barely saved it, even though there's no real reason we need to record this dialogue. Well, it's here. A friend in Edrix, are you? Then you must be an adventurer of some skill. My business relies on capable people such as you. As a gesture of goodwill, I'm going to share with you a morsel of information. There's this bloke, named Geralt. Makes his living in weapons and armor and whatnot. They say his skill is the finest in all the realm. Might be as it's gone to his head, though. Folks don't take to the man if you get my meaning. Oh, and he likes to drink and all. Bloody Bar got himself in the fort, though. As a young lad, he was cast out on his ear by his master for the crime of crafting finer wares, and that while pissed drunk. Ever since he's roamed here and there, earning his keep day to day. Aye, I've known Geralt ever since I landed in this business. Ain't seen him for a while, though, and last time I did, the old fool had tears in his eyes and snot dripping from his nose. Fallen on hard times, he said. Asked for a bit of coin to tide him over. Never paid me back neither. Couldn't say for sure where he is now. Seemed to remember hearing he was in the Black Shroud, putting up at Hirstmill or some such place. You might do well to commission his work. He'll even reforge the relics of old if you make it worth his while. And there ain't no other in Eorzea can do that. If it's relics you care to know about, I have a promise of payment what might catch your fancy. It don't look like much, but it'll get old Geralt to fire up his forge. That much I promise. And then, speaking to Geralt. In the Black Shroud. Raining. I think we were here briefly in a previous recording. Just to sightsee. But I guess this is the main hub for Zodiac weapon stuff. Now, of course, before we actually take this quest, there was some stuff we were doing after talking to Rowena to turn in that thing she mentioned to Gerald. Got business with me, have you, traveler, adventurer? And there'd better be coin or drink in it. Elsewise, bugger off back to wherever it is you came from. Restoration work on an old weapon, you say? Huh. What makes you think I'd fire up the forge for a grimy old... Egads. Where in the seven hells did you get that promise of payment? Ain't got no coin, I tell you. Nay, not a single bloody kill. Gods, just look at me. At how far I've fallen. Me, the greatest weaponsmith of our age, hammering out dints and kettles to pay off a tavern debt. Can't you even begin to grasp my humiliation? Can you? Well, of course you can't. Why did I even bother asking? Alright. I'll restore your bloody weapon. Just get that goddamn slip of paper out of me sight. Just let me make one thing clear. It might be as I'm repairing kettles to pay for yesterday's mead, but I still got me pride as a master weaponsmith. I'll get no less than the finest out of me forge. And it might be as you got that. And it might be as you got that goddamn slip of paper, but it'll only get you so much. Restoring relics like these calls for some rare old materials, and I ain't got none. So if you want the job done, you'll have to run along and fetch them for me. And at that point, we can choose whichever class we want to, except this series of quests. I'll only get so far into it, but that'll be for later. I'm super tired after redoing so much stuff. That would be a good time to take a break.